Breaking news. Oil tankers hit near the Strait of Hormuz.
The modern global economy runs on energy, and a significant portion of that energy comes from oil transported by sea. One of the most critical maritime choke points in the world is the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage connects the Persian Gulf to international waters and serves as a gateway for massive volumes of crude oil heading to global markets. Every single day, millions of barrels of oil pass through this corridor. Tankers loaded with energy resources travel toward Asia, Europe, and beyond. Because of this, any disruption in the strait immediately attracts global attention. Recently, alarming reports emerged that several ships were struck in or near this vital waterway. Initial reports suggest that multiple commercial vessels were damaged while operating near the Strait of Hormuz. Some sources describe explosions or suspected drone strikes targeting oil tankers navigating the busy shipping lane. While details remain limited, maritime security agencies quickly began investigating the incidents. Ship crews reportedly sent distress signals as smoke rose from damaged vessels. Nearby ships and regional authorities responded rapidly to ensure the safety of the crews. At this stage, officials have not confirmed who carried out the attacks. However, the event has intensified concerns about rising tensions in the region. To understand the seriousness of the situation, it's important to recognize the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is considered the most important oil transit choke point in the world. Major oil producers including Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and United Arab Emirates rely on this route to export energy resources. Estimates suggest that roughly 1/5 of global petroleum consumption passes through this passage every day. That means any security threat here can influence global oil prices, shipping, insurance costs, and international trade. For this reason, even small incidents quickly become global economic concerns. Energy markets are extremely sensitive to geopolitical risk. As soon as news of the ship attacks began circulating, traders started reacting. Investors fear that escalating tensions could disrupt oil flows through the strait. When supply appears threatened, oil prices often rise rapidly. Traders anticipate shortages and begin purchasing futures contracts, pushing market prices higher. Shipping companies also face increased costs. Insurance premiums for vessels traveling through high-risk zones can surge dramatically. This chain reaction shows how a localized maritime incident can influence fuel prices worldwide, from gasoline stations in Europe to transportation costs in Asia. In response to the situation, several governments have discussed releasing emergency oil reserves. Strategic petroleum reserves are massive stockpiles of crude oil maintained by countries to stabilize markets during crises. These reserves are designed to be used during wars, major supply disruptions, or severe economic emergencies. When released, they can temporarily increase supply and calm market panic. Organizations such as the International Energy Agency often coordinate these actions among member countries. However, experts emphasize that strategic reserves are only a short-term solution. If disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz continue, deeper structural problems in global energy supply could emerge. The incident also highlights long-standing geopolitical tensions in the region. Countries surrounding the Persian Gulf have complex political relationships and strategic rivalries. One of the key players in this dynamic is Iran, which controls territory along the northern side of the Strait of Hormuz. Because of its geographic position, Iran holds significant influence over maritime traffic in the area. Meanwhile, Western powers and regional allies are determined to keep this energy corridor open. The strategic competition surrounding this narrow waterway has existed for decades. When attacks on commercial vessels occur, fears quickly grow that a broader confrontation could develop. After the attacks were reported, naval forces in the region increased surveillance and patrol operations. Military vessels and reconnaissance aircraft began monitoring shipping lanes more closely. Protecting commercial shipping is a major priority for international security coalitions. Escort missions, surveillance drones, and radar systems are often used to deter further attacks. These security measures aim to reassure shipping companies and maintain the safe flow of global trade. However, increased military presence can also raise tensions. When multiple armed forces operate in the same narrow waterway, the risk of accidental confrontation increases. Energy prices influence nearly every sector of the global economy. When oil prices rise sharply, transportation, manufacturing, and food production all become more expensive. Airlines must pay more for fuel, shipping companies raise freight costs, and consumers ultimately feel the impact through higher prices. Because of this, disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz can affect economies thousands of kilometers away. Even rumors of instability in the region can trigger significant volatility in energy markets and financial systems worldwide. This is not the first time that shipping in the region has faced security threats. Over the past decades, several incidents involving oil tankers have occurred near the Strait of Hormuz. During periods of geopolitical conflict, ships have been targeted by mines, missiles, or sabotage operations. Each event reinforces the strategic vulnerability of this narrow waterway. Because such a large share of global energy trade depends on this single route, even isolated incidents can trigger worldwide reactions. Some countries have attempted to reduce dependence on the Strait of Hormuz by building alternative pipelines and export routes. For example, certain pipelines allow oil to bypass the strait and reach ports on the Red Sea or other coastlines. However, these alternatives cannot fully replace the enormous volume of oil transported through the strait every day. As a result, the world remains heavily dependent on the strategic passage. The next steps will depend on the results of ongoing investigations and diplomatic efforts. If tensions escalate, shipping companies may avoid the region temporarily, which could tighten global oil supplies. On the other hand, coordinated international security measures might stabilize the situation and restore confidence among energy traders. Energy analysts are closely watching developments, knowing that even small changes in supply expectations can influence global markets. The recent ship attacks near the Strait of Hormuz highlight how fragile global energy systems can be. A single strategic choke point holds enormous influence over oil supplies, energy prices, and international stability. While emergency oil reserves may provide short-term relief, the long-term challenge remains ensuring safe and reliable energy transportation. For now, the world is watching closely as governments, energy companies, and security forces respond to this latest challenge in one of the most important waterways on the planet.
Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe for more updates.